Assalamualaikum and a very good day. We are from the group 1. Right now, we will present our assignments on handling these cases on title of Engine Faulty in Billionaire's Exotic Sport Car. My name is Nur Hikmah Abu Aziz and the rest of my group members are Sasabila Muhammad Razib, Fatim Fahana Baharuddin and Muhammad Abu Bakar. First of all, let me brief you a little bit about this scenario. So there is an Australian billionaire who actually owned an exotic sport car. Unfortunately, his exotic sport car actually totally breaks down in front of the world press at his ski resort. He realized that his engine has completely seized and the oil has been gelatinized. Due to this problem, the billionaire sued the Netherlands Petroleum, which is a company that produced the oil that he had used in his exotic sport car. So the news of this incident actually has caught the international attention and caused the internet sensations all over the world. Here's are the highlights of the scenario. So we know that this billionaire actually originated from Australia, which a hot country. So it is common to use 20W type of engine oil, while in a cold country, 10W type of engine oil is commonly used. This is because 10W type of engine oil actually is more suitable for the cold weather conditions. So any possibility that the billionaire actually have been used 20W type of engine oil in his sport car and cause the oil to be gelatinized in the cold temperature because 20W type of engine oil is only suitable for the hot country. Other implications this might be because there are engines problem inside his exotic sport car. It because we know that his sport car actually has been in an accident during a car racing previously. So here is a milestone for our projects. So in January 2020 until June 2022, we expected during these 6 months all of these analysis and problem will be solved. So January we allocate for engine oil, March for engine oil test, May for engine part, and the end of June we will apply the loss for these cases.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and thank you to Hikmah just now. My name is Fatim Fanda binti Barudin and I am the person in charge for the quality control team. Along with my partner Salsabila, she'll explain more detail about the other oil testing for our team. Okay, so I'll be talking about a few major tests that will be run to identify about this problem. The first 4 tests that will be run is using the characteristics of kinematic viscosity, and the test that will be used for this is Astm D445, which is to identify the quality of the petroleum products and operational and applicability. So the next one is Astm D2270. This is for the viscosity index or VI at certain temperatures for 40 and 100 degrees Celsius. The next test for kinematic viscosity is Astm D704. This is to test the viscosity of the liquids. And then we also identify another characteristic, which is the solubility of the engine oil. So to identify about this solubility, we'll be using dissolution test, which is the oil in water droplet test, by centrifugation method and using a viscometer. So the next is using by the characteristics of density. Test that will be run for this characteristic is Astm D452, which to identify the relative density, the API gravity of the oil. And the last would be the volatility. The volatility have 3 different tests, which is the Astm D2087, Astm D5480, and gas chromatography distillation GCD. Okay, for this test, we'll be comparing the result with the sample or the engine oil that we obtain from the car engine of the billionaire. So we'll make a comparison with the standard ones to identify exactly which engine oil that he used for his car, which make the oil to be solidified. So after we obtain this result for this test, we'll get to know and obtain data on which exactly engine oil that he used, which is the 10W or the 20W, and comparison. So by that we'll make a comparison which one that he used, and later on we'll proceed to the other steps of the process. So I'll pass to my friend, my partner, Sasabila, to continue her presentation. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Fatin. I will continue to explain a little bit about engine oil test. So, for the reversibility, the test that we use is Astm D704, and this test is used for testing medium and high viscosity oils, and is suitable for evaluation of oils containing extreme pressure additive. Then, for IP19, this test is intended for testing new inhibited and straight mineral turbine oils. So basically for base oil, a low value of for both of these two tests indicates that the oil has not become contaminated during the final storage or transportation. Next, to determine the water content of base oil or lubricants, we will use Astm D304 by using the colorimetric titration. Then, we will use Astm D4006. This method is a distillation method and originally developed to determine water in crude oil, but it may be applied to other petroleum hydrocarbons. And this test is a simple way to check for the presence of water droplet in a base oil. Next is pour point. The pour point of lubricating oil is lowest temperature at which it will pour or flow when it is chilled without disturbance under prescribed conditions. These two methods that we use to test the oils, most of the pour points oil is related to the crystallization of wax. But certain oils, which are essentially wax-free, have viscosity limited pour points. In these oils, the viscosity becomes progressively higher as the temperature is lowered until at the same temperature, no flow can be observed. And lastly is flashpoint. The flashpoint of an oil is the temperature at which the oil releases enough vapor at its surface to ignite when an open flame is applied. The method that we use in this test is PMC test and COC test. In the PMC test, any low volatility contaminants in a base oil will accumulate more quickly in the closed test cup, resulting in a lower flash point than would otherwise have been the case. The COC test is used more often to determine an inherent property of the base oil. The flash point of new oils varies with viscosity, which is higher viscosity oils have high flash point. Flash point tests are of value to refiners for control purpose and significant to consumers under certain circumstances for safety consideration. So this is the test that we do for the engine oil test, and we assume that overall budget for analysis for our team is 21,000 USD. Then I will pass to Abu Bakar to continue about car engine. Thank you.
My name is Abu Bakar Muhammad, GS62713. I'm going to present on car engine. Now we are going to look at the relationship between car engine and lubrication. As we know, the billionaire had an issue with his car where it appears there is a gelatinous lubricant in his car engine. Now, A car engine operate based on what we call ICE, which is internal combustion engine. Now, this engine uses petrol and it converts it into motion. And this process is of four categories, which is known as four-stroke or Otto cycle. Now we have an intake stroke, compression stroke, power stroke, and exhaust stroke. Now, the intake stroke is the intake of foil and air, foil and air mixed, and this is done via what we call valves. There is what we call the inlet valves and the exhaust valve. Now, the inlet valve allows in the foil and the air which mixed, and when this move in to the cylinder, the piston moves to compress this air and foil mixture, which is the second cycle, which is known as compression. After this compression of the air and foil mixture, then we have the power stroke, which is done by the spark, by the plug. The plug here make a spark to ignite the mixture of the foil and air. This creates energy that moves the car or motion. Then we have the exhaust stroke, where the smoke or the exhaust leave the cylinder via what we call the exhaust valve. Uh, the repetition of these four processes is what makes the car to move. Now, uh, we have lubrication. What is the relationship between lubrication and an engine? Now, we should know that application of oil or grease to an engine or component to minimize friction and allow smooth movement is what is called lubrication. Here, since the ICE, which is internal combustion, operate based on this four stroke, which is the intake, the compression, the power, and the exhaust, the movement of the piston, because here is the piston in the car engine that moves up to compress this mixture of air and foil. So there is part or there are part of this engine that requires lubrication in order to function well. And these parts are the cylinder, which moves up and down, compressing the foil air mixture. Then we have what is referred to as the piston ring. The piston ring is located at the piston. Then we have what is known as main bearing, the crankshaft, the clamping and piston pin, the connecting rod, the camshaft, and the valves. All these requires lubrication. Now, the purpose of lubrication is to reduce the friction between moving parts, corrosion of the part, to reduce carbon deposit, noise, heat of moving parts, power loss, and vibration. It also lubrication increase the efficiency and of the engine, and it also cools the engine of the car. Now, uh, in lubricating oil are categorized into three. and this is by Society of Automotive Engineers, which they call it viscosity number. The viscosity number is determined by the range of viscosities within it falls at a given temperature. And we shall recall that the billionaire used what we refer to as a summer grade because he lives in Australia, and it is warmer than where he made his press conference, which is at a resort. Now, looking at this, we don't know if this uh, billionaire has changed his lubricating oil or not, or whether he has used a multi-grade engine oil which can be used at winter or in summer, because the grading of the lubricating oil is based on temperature range. As we can see here, if we live in a temperature of minus 25 to 0 degrees Celsius, it is better to use what they call SAE 10W. It is winter because of this W. Or if it is within 5 minus 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, then we have SEE 20. Then if it is at a hotter region, what it is needs here is the summer grade. So the types or grade of the engine oil depends on the weather. We don't know if he has changed his engine oil or not. Next is base. We look at, we said that the lubricating oil here, because when you look at his car, the picture of the engine, you will realize that there is a gelatinous oil at the bearing of his car. Now, the bearing is what moves the crankshaft of the engine so that the piston will move up and down. Here we have two types of lubrication process. The hydrodynamic lubrication is a simple lubrication which is done when you have simple tools such as wristwatch, such as gun, lubricating of gun or sewing machine. But here the boundary is what exists when you are lubricating a heavier machine, or in a case of a car, a bearing. Now, there is shortfall of this what boundary lubrication. Now, here, the oil film thickness may reduce due to metal contact and hence metal wear, or an oiliness which is predominant in boundary lubrication. And if there is obviously if there is oiliness, then the part may wear. There may be friction which may cause damage in the car. Then it also occur when a shaft start moving from rest or low speed or high load, or when we have low viscosity. Now, we want to make sure that our lubricating oil has all these property of a very good engine oil. Now, we should also know that lubrication oil is not to be used for donkey affairs. Now, we should know that lubricating oil do not have unlimited time. It should be used as at when due. Lubricating oil also changes characteristic with time when it leaves. And we have what we call thermal breakdown, leading to loss of additives. As we know, this lubricating oil has a lot of additive in order to improve the performance of the engine oil. Also, fraction that are lightweight or lost viscosity are consumed at higher rate, leaving fractions that are of higher molecular weight. And also lubricating oil gets heavier over time and lost ability to function well, particularly in cold weather. And looking at this, the billionaire used his car at or kick his car at at place where the temperature is cold. Um, Oil had to be replaced at every travel of at least 15,000 kilometers. Now, this billionaire used his car racing. We don't know how much kilometer he has covered. And looking at this point also, as lubricating oil gets heavier over time and lost ability to function well in cold weather. Now, if he has not changed his lubricating oil, then there is an issue here. And this issue may not be from the engine oil of NP, but the negligence of the billionaire to change his engine oil. Now, apart from engine oil problem, what may cause car failure or problem? We said here there is bad foil air mixture. Here, if there is impurity in the foil, or the air intake is clogged, or there is too much or too low foil to the mix, then there may be problem. The car will not start and there will be an issue with the car. Secondly, lack of compression. We said that before this plug ignite the mixture so that the car will earn an energy and move, there is a process called compression of the foil and air. Now looking at this, if the piston is worn, meaning that compression will not take place because this is what compresses the mixture of the air and foil. And if there is improper sealing of the intake or exhaust valve, definitely the foil and air will move out through these spaces in the valve. Or if there is hole in the cylinder, if there is hole in the cylinder, definitely the car will not move and there will be an issue with the car. There may be split of oil through this hole to the surface of the engine. Then we have a problem called lack of spark. Now, if the uh, if there is no spark, then there will be no ignition, and therefore the car will not move. And some problems, such as the crankshaft bearing and the battery. If the crankshaft bearing is not properly lubricated, or if there is damage in the bearing, then there will be no movement of this crankshaft, which also move the piston up and down in the car cylinder. Now, we need to test the piston of the car and some parts of the car. We are going to look at the piston ring, and the piston pin, then the piston locking ring of the car. These are some of the parts of the car that we are going to analyze. Then we relate to our findings in the engine oil, where we are going to analyze the sample of the engine oil in the billionaire's car. We are also going to look at the cylinder and the cylinder surface. Is the cylinder okay? Is the cylinder surface okay? Because if the cylinder surface is not uh, okay, or it has issue, then there will be leaking of this lubricating oil to the to the compression chamber. Now, we're also going to look at the car bearing the valves, the sum of the car. The sum of the car is a pan where the oil or lubricating oil is stored or placed. Then we have the crankshaft, the connecting rod, and the spark. In conclusion here, these parts are going to be analyzed. We are going to analyze the part and see if there is fault with this part of the car or not. Now, looking at the piston ring. If the piston ring had an issue, definitely the oil will move from the sump to the combustion chamber, which may later split on the car engine. So also there is gasket at the piston head or the cylinder cover. If the gasket has an issue and the piston ring also has an issue, definitely there will be what we call split of this engine oil to the surface of the car. So this is the analysis, or this is what we look at in the relationship between the engine of the car and lubricating oil. The lubricating oil serves as lubricant to allow free movement of this engine part, to prevent wear, to prevent to have a frictionless movement of this part. Thank you.
So right now I will cover on the lower part. As we know that we have been done the analysis on the engine oil and also all the car components. So right now we would like to take any laws actions on these cases. As we know that the billionaire actually accused the Netherlands Petroleum to cause the problem inside his engine sport car. So this might be because this might indicate the false executions. This false execution is when one person make false accusations against another and publish those statements, and those statements damage the reputation, character, or integrity. In these cases, the billionaire actually already make damage on the Netherlands Petroleum reputations. So there are two types of defamations, which is the label and the slander. The labels is the defamation that is written in a newspaper, magazines, or internet, and slander defamations that is orally published, speech and casual conversation. These two types of defamations have been expected to have in these cases, because we know that these problems have caused internet sensations all over the world. So there are tons of published articles, and also this happened during the World Press Conference where the billionaire actually accused Netherlands Petroleum. So because of this, we can apply the Consolidated Acts, Crime Act 1914, Sections 41, which will give a penalty up to 10 years of prison. As a laws department, first of all, there are a series of action that we would like to do during handling this problem. First of all, we would like to have the legal consultations with our preferred legal firm. So these legal consultation fees will be allocated around 3,000 USD, and will be proceed with the legal documentations, because we want to know what exactly type of legal action that we can do to solve this problem. Then there is the compensations. The compensation actually any compensations that we would like to give to the billionaire to solve this problem. And the compensation consists of the cost of engines and defamations of his action response. So we don't want to these type of cases happen again and again. So we would like to hiring any expertise to reconstruct our all so that we not cause any problems, and to do the analysis and so on. Of course, we need any budgets for the instrumentals and analysis. And if the Bill and S actually don't want to receive any compensations from us. So here we will proceed with the court issue. So first of all, so we will do the issue letter of demands and filing court paper, then proceed with the enforcement of the court decisions to apply any loss implications on the bill and A. Total estimations, the budget total estimations for these series of action actually is 6,900 USD and 51,500 USD for the composition itself on the series of actions of legal consultations and legal actions that we need to do. So yeah, I hope you all are clear with what we do on handling these cases. So that's all from us, and thank you.